Morning world. Started accidentally then, but might as well roll with it. So you join me in the back of Molly. I'm 5 sleeps in now from on ground zero. I've just made a pot of coffee and Turkish coffee. You just put the grinds in and hot water, boil it up, then you let the grinds go with sediment and you can drink it. Because I haven't got any filters or anything. I haven't got any filters or anything, so anyway, so yeah, I've been sleeping in the tent, but I come in here for my cooking, having a vehicle. What a godsend! Oh my god, it'd be really hard if I didn't have Molly and it was just the tent, because it's not the rain. It rained for 3 nights, and that was hard. Because like you couldn't really touch the inside of the tent, but now the rain stopped. Just putting the coffee in a flask. I've got to be like really frugal with gas and stuff. We've just got this silly little stove, and the canisters are small and they last like 5 minutes. So I've got to sort out a bigger stove and a bigger gas bottle to be more like, yeah, a refillable gas bottle to be more environmental. And I was on the flight from EasyJet and they were collecting up the rubbish, and the air hostess was like, "This sack for the cans, put your cans in this is the recycling, save the planet." It made me think of that. Anyway, what's I talking about? The tent, the condensation on the inside, it's 1 ply, so it's not, yeah, it's just that fly sheet. It's okay if you don't touch it, but if you get up in the night to have a pee in a bottle, which is what which I'm used to because I was a bus driver, and you know what I mean, the corporate machine, you don't get time to go to the toilet. You have to stand on the stairs and pee in a bottle on a double decker. But leave it, Fraser, you've run away from that. Leave it, you've left it all behind. It's an old life. Still haunts me a bit, but yeah, but you know, that's good training for living in a really low tent. The roof is really low. And yeah, it'd be nice to build something. I don't want to sleep in Molly because the condensation is, she's probably going to rust to pieces in 5 minutes. I've got to build a roof over her. It rained hard for the first 3 days, so I haven't tried to move her because I know she gets stuck super easy. But I'm going to go to the market today, and there's a lady there who makes vegan quiche, so I'm going to get some vegan quiche and say hello to the locals. Yesterday I went for a swim in the lake. This is the sort of surprises you get if you buy a bit of land in rural Portugal. There was a beautiful country road, like country lane, and like an unofficial road, I guess. And it went all the way to this lovely lake. And now I've come back 3 months later, after 3 months in the UK, and there's a fence all around. Like, there's no more road. The road just comes to a dead end, a fence, and the fence goes on for a long old ways. But so I walked it another way. Still managed to get to the lake, had a swim. It was cold. I could swim in it for a few minutes. It was like, but I've heard the sea is icy at the moment, but I want to go to the beach soon because that's like the main reason for living here, right? So, cheers. Decaf coffee in the morning, hot drink. And like, I stay in Molly at night and have like hot drinks, always make up a flask, and listen to music and have the fairy lights on, and I'm quite content with that for my evenings. So the lands, I've been doing a little bit of work, a bit of clearing. Yeah, I mean, actually, the stuff that's still in my head, I want to get out, because going back to because I've been living off grid in Portugal for 5 years, and then I've been back to the UK before once to work for 6 months, and I just went back for 3 months, and like the intensity of it might have just been my colleague I was working with was a little bit intense, you know, and I'm saying it in a nice way because like he's helped me so much, and like this is even his flask. He's probably forgotten. I've still got it. And we were going out driving with this work I was working with him, and we're driving all over the UK, but just at night, and I couldn't, you know, so I didn't really get to see see much of the countryside, but it was nice to tour the UK a bit and Wales and stuff. And during these long journeys, fantastic sandwiches prepared by his good wife. But during this, we'd have to listen to these podcasts, right? But, do you mind if I listen to this podcast? Well, of course not. You're a fan, let's pop it on. And it'd just be this raging conspiracy theorist people be like, they don't want you to know this. They don't want you to know that. You got to wake up. You got to see what's really going on. And, so I had a lot of that. And it's going to take a bit of living in the middle of nowhere to get it out of my system. But, I mean, that is pretty much why I left the UK, because the just everyone wants a piece of you, kind of like, you know what I mean? Like the way the financial thing goes, it's just the whole finance, I mean, when we were kids, money was the last thing. It was just like a tiny little element, you know what I mean? Like, it wasn't important. Having a good time was. Being out in nature and running around. I suppose kids don't do that anymore, but. And, I wanted to get back to that really. And sleeping in a tent, I had like a little flashback, like that first night under the canvas. It's like really reminds me of my very first tent, sleeping in the garden at home as a kid, like 4 or 5 years old or something. Kind of really took me back to that. That's like really cool. And like another little stuff, like, reminds me. It's like, it's like being a big kid again, I suppose. But and these podcasts. So there was these. I mean, I hope I'm not talking too deep, but there was one where there's these two doctors, husband and wife team, and they're ever so clever. And they did have some clever things to say about like the COVID vaccine stuff, how they weren't pulling the syringe when they were doing the vaccines. They were pulling out the syringe. They weren't pulling out the syringe bit for the needle to see if there's blood there, to see if they're in an artery, which it shouldn't have been. They were just like slapping it in. But I haven't had any vaccines or anything, and that's why a lot of people have got ill from it apparently. So they did have, they did have some knowledge, but they were talking about. I'm going to go vegan now, but they were talking about like, it's great to hypothesize about this, not like that, and it's great, people go out there and they catch butterflies and they stick them on boards, pretty much what they're saying, and they with pins in them, and the beetles and everything and all the wildlife, and we keep taking it, and then we can measure it, and then every year we can measure it and we can hypothesize about the evolution of this and the other. It's like, why would you do that to a butterfly? A butterfly literally is designed to take away stress just by looking at it. So, I mean, why destroy something like that or kill it? Do you know what I mean? For the future to look at. And then, like, you're going to get less of them. And, like, and I think actually this guy, I can't remember his name, I think it's Dark Hole Podcast or something. And it's this doctor guy, very clever. Mother must be proud. And I think he actually wrote his thesis, a paper on like how mice in experiments it's not reliable because they've been bred white with red eyes and they're nothing like the original mice. And it's like, well, yeah, but look, studying the mouse in its natural environment, it's giving you everything. It's telling you how to be healthy. It's curing your diseases. It's live in nature and run around. So anyway, and like he really mumbled. So this is something I'm going to try not to do, because he started off really loud to make a good point, and eventually you go and you wouldn't hear anything. Weinstein, I think his name is, and then his wife, she's accustomed to whispering, and it's a very whispery voice like this. So that would drive me crazy. This is, I've had a lot of these podcasts about I'm venting. I've got to talk about something, right? And then this other one, I don't know his name, but he was really like, they don't want us to know this, they don't want us to know that. But we listen to a lot of Joe Rogan, and he's fantastic. And about the pyramids and how like the ancient technologies were like superior to our technologies. Maybe they got wiped out with a mile-high tidal wave. who knows? But he's a really good guest, and the way he sums it up, he's so sharp in the mind, and he's just, and we were laughing the way he goes cool to like any fact. It's like that old Sting joke. Sting would go to the opening of a fridge door, and it's like Joe Rogan would go cool to the opening of a fridge door. We were laughing at that, and I did have a good time with my mate. And I'm sorry, I'm not like having a dig or nothing. It was great, happy memories. But yeah, I'm decompressing now, and out here in the wilderness, so I'm sleeping in the tent. I've got to start building some structure soon, but first I'm doing some clearing. Come with me, we reenact yesterday, because like yesterday, a couple of days ago, I've built a little, well, had a little toilet ready to go,